Let's say I'd like to just show you a new data type called Boolean, and it's very important to remember Boolean is basically just true or false. So in Java, remember, we can create integers, which are integers, and we can create doubles, which are decimals, but we could also create Booleans. So let's say x equals 10. That's just good old basic old stuff. But now I'm going to create a variable Boolean, and I'll call this y. And I'm not going to initialize it. I'm just going to declare it. Now it's very important to remember Boolean data types are either true or false. Those are our only options. So just when I look at integers, remember integers can be, -3, 1, 0, 24, whatever. They're just numbers. Where Booleans, this y is either true or false, and currently it's neither. But what I'm going to do is actually I'll create another variable here, another int variable, z equals 3. Now what I'm going to do here is do some testing. So I want to know y. I'm going to set it equal to a Boolean statement. Okay, or better yet, let's do it this way. Here, Boolean y is going to equal x greater than 3. Let's try it that way. And so what I'm doing here, remember, is I am trying to figure out, I'm trying to assign y a value that's true or false. And so here's a test, x greater than 3. Is x greater than 3? Well, x is 10, right here, x is 10. Is 10 greater than 3? Yes, it is. So this is true. So y will end up being a true statement. So if I were just to output the y variable here and run this, I should get true. Because Boolean says, is the statement you have true? 10 is greater than 3. Yes. Now if I were to change this to less than, it says is 10 less than 3, and that's not true. That's false. 10 is not less than 3. So y would now be false when I run this. I'll run this and take a look at the output, and now it's false. So a Boolean variable is a true-false test, basically. That's what it's looking for. Okay, and so I could do other things that are kind of strange here, like does 7 equal 7? I know it seems kind of a really weird statement, but 7 does equal 7. This is the test. That's true. And now over here, y is true. So when I run this, I get true. Run that, and I'll get true. Okay, so there are some things that we need to get down here. We need to understand that Boolean is just true or false, and it's a test. So the big thing here is going to be to understand what syntax, what symbols here mean that you're doing a Boolean test. So the basic Boolean tests or some of them are to use double equals. So it's important to understand that that's a test to see if two things are equal. Okay, are two things equal? That's what the double equal is going to be. All right, you can do the exclamation point in equals. That means are two things not equals? Okay, not equal. And so here, if I were to go back to my code, instead of 7 equals 7, let me do 5 is equal to 7. So this is a test. Is 5 equal to 7? No, that's false. So y is false. I'll run this and show that that's going to be false. There's false. But if I were to come up here and change this to a not equal 7, is 5 not equal to 7? Well, 5 is not 7, so this is a true statement. 5 is not 7. That's a true statement, so y will now be true when I run this. It's now true. 5 is not equal to 7. That's a true statement. So those are two very common ways for Boolean testing. You can also do other math operations. Basically, you can use less than, and you could also use less than or equal to. So are two things less than? Okay, that would be, maybe I will take this one off and we'll do these one by one. So are two things less than? Or I could go this road and go are two things less than or equal to. Okay, and maybe up here I'll throw that in here. Is 5 less than 7? Okay, 5 less than 7. Yes, it is. That's true. And so when I run this, I will get output that says true down here. Okay, is it less than or equal to 7? I'll run that, and that will be true, because 5 is less than or equal to 7. If I change this back to 7 is less than or equal to 7, that's true since they are the same, and that is also a true statement. And just as though I'm doing less than, I could do greater than. So is 7 greater than or equal to 7? That is also a true statement. Or if I change this back to a 5, is 5 greater than or equal to 7? No, it's not, so that's false. And there's a false output. Okay, so I could, I'll add these here just so I'm consistent. I could use greater than and ask are two things. And then compare them. I understand that my wording here is a little bit off, mathematically speaking, but the same idea. Are two things greater than or equal to? Okay, so these are some basic Boolean tests, just testing numbers. This is for testing numbers now, so it's important to understand that. If you wanted to test to see if two strings are the same, okay, that would be a little bit different. You have to be very careful. You can't use double equals for testing to see if two strings are the same. Testing maybe a password test. You want to check to see if someone typed their password incorrectly. So maybe I'll take a look at it this way. For strings, you have to use really like a string method, a dot equals method. And so I'm going to create a new string variable. I'm going to call it PW for password. And the password is ABC123. That's the password. Okay. And I'm going to create another one, and for now I'm not going to do any user input. I'm just going to set user password. They type in a password, and the user password is they just type in A, B, C, D, E, F. Okay, and what I'm trying to do is I want to see if these are the same. Now we know they're not, but in a program you're going to have to do some testing. So I'm going to output a test here, and what I want to do, and remember you cannot do PW equals user PW. That's not the correct method. That's not the correct way to test with strings. But what we need to do with a string is we have to learn this new dot equals method. And so to test strings, okay, are strings equal? Okay, you need to use the dot equals method. And when you use dot equals, here's what it looks like. You want to put one of the strings first, so PW dot. So over here, I'm going to add in here string 1 dot equals. So I need dot equals. Okay, and inside the parentheses, the other string, user PW. Okay, and here string 1 dot equals, and in here I'm going to put string 2. Because the two strings that I'm testing to see if they're the same, one goes inside the parentheses, and the one goes before the dot. That's the correct way to test strings and see if they're equal. So when I run this, I should get false because the two passwords do not match. And there is my false statement. Now I have two false statements, remember, because of up here I have all of this stuff testing integers. So for right now, I'd like to keep it there so you can refer to it if needed, but I will comment it out and finish my comments down here. Alright, there we go. Now I'll run this, and not a bad idea for you to learn. Comment out stuff that you want to save, but you don't really want to delete, and you don't want it to run either. So now we can just focus on this area. So this is false. Now let's say the user enters the correct password. And so really, let's say the user password is ABC123. Okay, and now we test it. It should be true because it's testing to see if the password is equal to the user password. And we will run this, and we get true. Now we have to be a little bit careful. ABC123, these are not the same because case sensitivity is in effect here. So we will have false because these are not the exact same. And if you don't like case sensitivity and you think that case shouldn't matter, then you could learn the .2 lowercase or the .2 uppercase methods, which I do have another video on if you'd like to watch it on string methods. So there you have it. This is some Boolean testing to understand that Booleans are just true or false. I guess one last thing I would add here is I can create a Boolean variable without doing a test. I could just simply create a Boolean a variable, and I could set it equal to true. Notice true turns to blue here. I can create a Boolean b variable, and I could just initialize it to false if I would like. And so if I simply just output these a and then I output b, and then again I will comment out all of the stuff at the bottom here just so we don't deal with this and you're not confused. It will simply just print true and then false for me because it's just printing what A is and what B is. And remember, A and B are Boolean, so they just hold true values and false values. So there you have it. That's not everything on Booleans and Boolean testing, but that's just a basic introduction. I hope that helps you understand the beginning.